is the Listen Up Future Nurse podcast, and you're listening to Season 3, Episode 22, Nurse Practitioner Leadership in Action. Accelerate, position, rise, influence, and lead. In this special Women's History Month episode, we're diving into the world of leadership with Dr. April J. Odom, an award-winning healthcare entrepreneur, mentor, speaker, and healthcare advocate. As the founder of her own nonprofit organization and wellness clinic, Dr. Odom is a dynamic leader committed to supporting nurse practitioners through education, networking, and career development. Known for her resourcefulness and strategic leadership, she has made a lasting impact on the nursing community through her involvement and leadership in key national and local nursing organizations. We'll explore her journey from clinical care to strategic business leadership and how she's helping nurse practitioners accelerate their careers, position themselves for success, rise above challenges, and lead with influence. Plus, stay tuned for details about an exclusive premiere event that Dr. Odom calls a transformational experience where you'll learn how to brand, increase visibility, and leverage your influence to create lasting impact in healthcare.
You're listening to an episode of Listen Up Future Nurse Podcast. Scan the QR code if you're watching, or click the link in the podcast show notes to get your virtual remote. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on Spreaker and follow us on all your favorite podcast locations. And watch us live online on all of your favorite social media sites.
No login, no problem. No matter if social media isn't your thing or you're taking a break, you can listen in right on our website. Save your data and this episode by downloading it from our website, nursinginspired.com/podcast. So if you have to take a pause, you don't lose your place where you were listening or your battery power. That'll also help our podcast rankings rise to the top.
This podcast is hosted by Fallon M. Flowers.
Dr. April J. Odom is a healthcare entrepreneur, speaker, and mentor dedicated to wellness, leadership, and patient advocacy. As the founder of Physical Plus Incorporated, she has created a thriving health and wellness clinic that integrates preventative care, weight management, vitamin therapy, and aesthetic services. Her expertise extends beyond patient care. She is a strategic business leader committed to advancing nurse practitioners and healthcare professionals in their careers. She is the current president of ISAPN, Illinois Society for Advanced Practice Nursing, and the founder of INPN, the Illinois Nurse Practitioner Network, a nonprofit organization supporting NPs through education, networking, and truly celebrates NP Week. As a dynamic public speaker and healthcare advocate, Dr. Odom specializes in topics such as leadership, entrepreneurship, and career growth. With over 2 decades in the field, she delivers powerful insights on breaking barriers in nursing, building a healthcare business, and navigating personal and professional challenges. Her thought leadership has earned her prestigious accolades, including the 40 Under 40 Emerging Nurse Leaders Award, Pinnacle Nurse Leader Award, and AANP State Award for NP Excellence, cementing her as a key voice in the industry. Dr. Odom is committed to mentoring future leaders and entrepreneurs, offering coaching programs, leadership events, and resources to help nurse practitioners and health professionals launch, grow, and lead with confidence. Through her work, she continues to elevate the role of advanced practice providers and advocate for innovative, patient-centered care. Well, all right. Happy Women's History Month, everyone, and welcome, Dr. April Odom. I am so glad to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Fallon. I'm so happy to be here.
Absolutely. We have been connected for some time now, and you really truly are a leader. And I had to do a little play on words with LeadHERship in the title for this episode. With this being Women's History Month, and with you being such a leader, so I'm so grateful to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm totally honored. This is a great, great, great podcast. And I love just to be able to spread my voice.
Thank you. Yes, because you definitely spread your voice a lot. And we gonna get more into that for sure. And I'm sure everybody's already heard a lot in the bio and everything, and can reread that in the show notes. But absolutely. And so I love after we've heard bios and we've heard some of these wonderful things that you've done and are doing, but I always want to help future nurses to kind of feel a connection and know where you came from and where you started and everything. And so with that, tell us more about what made you want to become a nurse, and what your nursing school journey was like, just starting off.
Ooh, okay, it feels like so long ago, but so when I first actually in high school, I had took a medical assistant course at Robert Morris, and that kind of where it started from. So we would go downtown after school and draw blood and learn blood pressure. So I learned blood pressure my senior year of high school. So that was kind of what sparked me. And after I graduated, I started college. I went to college for a year. I went to Malcolm X. I started Malcolm X, went to Malcolm X for a year, and then I got pregnant. And then I thought I needed some time off. So I took some time off. And I worked in a pharmacy for 6 years. And then I was like, oh, maybe I want to do pharmacy. It was just kind of like, oh, maybe I can do this kind of thing. So I went back to school. I worked full time. My son went to night school with me at Malcolm X while I got all my prerequisites completed. And when I finished all my prerequisites, I was like, well, I have everything I need to apply to the nursing program. Maybe I should just try instead of, waiting to go to pharmacy school. And I applied, and out of 250 some students, I was one of the 40. And it's been the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I love being a nurse. I say it all the time. I love all the opportunities I've had as a nurse. And I'm so glad that this is the path I was supposed to be on.
My God, I love that. I actually worked in pharmacy too for a bit too, pharmacy technician. That's so funny. All this time I've known you, and I didn't even know that.
Yes, fun fact. Yeah, 6 years at Walgreens,
right
in the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh
yeah.
My gosh. Yeah, and I was part of the city colleges too, but that was for my nursing program. So even smaller world. Wow, look at that.
Yes.
Wow. I'm so glad, for your, resilience and saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to night school. You brought your baby along with you. Like, come on, we got to go. We're going to do what we got to do. We're going to make it through this. But, not only your resilience, but I love the early exposure, in high school, and just taking that extra step, and just kind of stepping outside of, regular high school activities and all of that, which you may have done too, but just kind of doing something to, get you started early, not only with exposure, but experience, I think is the other thing, so that can kind of also make you stand out as someone when you are applying, because my God, one of 40 out of 256, I don't even know those stats from my own program. My God.
And I don't know why I just remembered that. I remember them always saying, like, you guys, there were 250 some applicants and we only had 40 seats available, and you were in the group. And I was like, thank God, because that's just where I was supposed to be. I'm a big firm believer of you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so even though I went to college, but I didn't go, I didn't do the traditional 4-year university, or I went to college and didn't finish right away. Everything that's happened, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. So
that is so good. Yes, you are so right. We're saying, you're exactly where you are supposed to be, but also just pointing out how you didn't go the traditional route. Again, I think sometimes, when we look at people that we see as like a leader, a mentor, somebody we look up to, such as yourself, because I'm still chasing and following. I'm watching what you're doing. I'm like, okay, Dr. April, you done had me on the whole keynote and everything, one of your events, but I'm still like, oh, that's Dr. April. But it's really again really helpful, I think, for people to kind of just know those humble beginnings, know that, hey, you made mistakes, we made mistakes too. We didn't go the traditional route. It took extra time. We have bumps in the roads too, because I think sometimes people see all of those awards and these titles and this alphabet soup and all of these things, and it's just like, I can't do that. And it's just like, but it's like, why not you?
Right, not you. Exactly. I know I used to think that sometimes we'd be like, oh man, I wish I had went to a university. I wish I had did this. And then now I think about all the things all the people I wouldn't have met, all the things I wouldn't have done if I had done that. So again, everything has just laid out how it's supposed to. And again, it's not a race. I tell people it's not a race. Your journey is your journey, whatever that looks like. And again, and I'm I've been having all kind of full circle moments for the last couple of years. It's been crazy. But you go through things and you learn, and hopefully, you can tell people, like you said, that there's more than one way to get here. And whatever your journey is, it's okay if you don't go the way you think you're supposed to go, but you'll end up where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. Hey, look, when you get here, then you're gonna find something else to dissect and complain about. It's gonna be something. I'm trying to tell you, this is a little off topic, but on topic. I'm a nurse practitioner along with you. And I just remember, what was it, in undergrad 2005? I realized, I was like, I want to be a nurse practitioner. And then it took me all the way from, knowing that, from that seed being planted, and I said, I'm going to be a women's health nurse practitioner once I found out that was something I can do. And I didn't get to start practicing till 2018. Long time to get there. Like you said, the journey is not a race. Wasn't nobody trying to take that long, and I never want that to happen for anybody else, which is why I love doing what I do with this show and just everything else. But, saying that to say, you're going to find something else to complain about. Because now that I am a nurse practitioner, it's like, Lord, all these notes, Lord, and some of the other things that kind of go along with it sometimes, just depending on where you are with your employers and things, if you don't own your own business, for instance.
And it is a lot. I tell people all the time, like when I took my CNA, even because I had to be a CNA when I was accepted, that was one of the conditions of my enrollment. I didn't learn much. And then I learned a lot of things on the job when I started working. And it was my first position was on a rehab unit. And you would think, oh, who wants to work in inpatient rehab, strokes. But it was the best position I've had because of the people that I work with. But me and my best friend now at the time, we knew that we wanted better CNAs. Like you say, it's a lot. And that's what people need to understand, that it's not, people hear nursing and they think, oh, y'all want to be a nurse, but you need to love taking care of people and dealing with people if you want to be a nurse, because it's a lot of things that happens. There's so much that you're responsible for as even as a CNA, you have some responsibility, you still are taking care of lives. You have to be safe. And especially, like you said, as a nurse practitioner, you have so many more responsibilities, all the labs and everything falls on you. So it's a lot, but you have to have that compassion, because if you don't, you're not going to love what you do. And loving what you do, Matt, it makes it a little bit easier.
It truly does. And it keeps you coming back. Yes. Keeps you coming back, Lord. Because some days can be hard, and it's just like, why do I keep doing it? But you love what you do. You love your calling. You love your patients, and just what you could do for them, their lives, their families, communities, all of that, But yeah, compassion is truly it.
And that's why you need a support system. And I tell people all the time, your family can be your biggest support, but they don't really understand, unless you're a nurse, unless you've been through nursing school, unless you're doing the day in and day out of NP work or API work, they don't understand. They can try to understand, they can support you, but you need that support of your colleagues. So you can be like, let me tell you what happened to me today, or you never believe this story.
Yes, have you a nurse bestie for real?
Absolutely.
And that's not only in school, after school is over with, and you in the profession, but just having a support along the way. I think community is just so big, and just having other people that are pursuing what you're pursuing, and everything. I think is really, really important. So I'm definitely glad you brought that up for sure. And so now I want to, pivot or kind of, move along to looking at accelerating success specifically. And so you've built a health and wellness clinic, and you lead, a lot of major organizations now, such as ISAPN, and then you have your nonprofit IMPN. What key decisions or strategies would you say has helped you to accelerate your career as both a healthcare provider and a business leader?
Knowing my flaws and weaknesses, knowing what I'm good at, definitely being able to lean on others. So having that support system of your mentors. Everybody needs a mentor. It doesn't matter. You have to be a mentor also. So you got to give back in you. So one on both sides. My mentor actually says you need at least 4 mentors. So, you need a few different mentors, because some people will do different things for you.
Yeah.
I know I've learned that, and now I didn't know it then, but the people who were pushing me on, who were mentoring me, they saw what I didn't even see at the time. And, just by setting me up into position to speak, to lead, to, go to this meeting, go join this committee. And so, and I'm like, okay, sure, not really realizing exactly what they were instilling in me at the time. So that mentorship is definitely something key that you need, whether you're definitely as a leader, as a business owner, because then you need business mentors, different things, especially as a business owner, because now it's not just the clinical. I can be a nurse all day in my sleep, but now I have to manage payroll and finances and marketing and budgeting and, like all these other things that I didn't go to school for. Like I went to school to be a nurse and take care of people. I just wanted to do it in a different way, than the system does. And so, so definitely having those mentors and having that network of support has been instrumental. So you need that leadership in business. Absolutely.
Yes. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Mentorship comes up a lot in the show. It just really can't be said enough. Mentorship matters, and that's pretty interesting that your mentor, mentioned about needing 4 mentors. But you look up, and you don't necessarily have to try too hard. All the time for that. Because like you said, about you are where you're meant to be. And I think sometimes, people can see who you are and see what's in you and can gravitate. And it's like, things just kind of come into alignment, really, and then you have these people that you may work with. You may have people in your family, people in your community, things like that at school, and they see you, and it's always good to be seen, because once people see you, then they can kind of, help you see what you need to do, even if you don't know, like you mentioned, because, as you were talking, I just thought back of so many people like, oh my God, that was a mentor and that was a mentor too, and everything, and so it's such a blessing to be able to have that, in this nursing journey, but even more so, like you said, in business as well, because business is a whole nother thing. They're watching influencers, and they're on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and they're seeing a lot of nurse business owners, and all of the quote unquote the glitz and the glam, the nurse bag, and I'm on vacation, and all of this stuff, and it's just like, yeah, that's cute and all, on the surface, but behind closed doors, it's a lot of work. And which you also mentioned with knowing your areas of, strengths and opportunities too, as well. So, hey, if that's something I don't know how to do, let me find somebody that does.
Yes.
Oh, Tyrone.
I now know when I'm talking to people and they're like, okay, this is what we need to do. And I be thinking in my head, okay, who am I going to get to do that? Because it's like, it don't need to be me right now. Like I need to be able to delegate, and I need somebody who has expertise in that area that can carry that out. But as a business owner, I tell people, just because you're delegating things, don't forget it. Like you still are responsible for everything in your business. And that's how I learned that the hard way. When I started my business, I self-taught myself how to do billing and coding. And then when I finally hired somebody, the minute there was a mistake made, I knew, because I had already had and that's why I tell people, you got to keep an eye on everything. Even if somebody is doing your billing, somebody's doing this, you still need to be aware of what's going on. Because if you just give it to somebody and let it go, you can miss, especially with money, like you can be missing out on a lot of things, and you won't know for a long time if you even know. So so definitely want to know what's going on.
You are so right. Oh my gosh. Woo! Those are lessons business wise, and this is for any nurses that are listening, that are future business owners or current business owners, nurse practitioners, whatever. Even if you're a CNA, you're a nurse, whatever, you're a business owner, same difference. It really does help to be able to, have your standard operating practices and everything, your SOPs, and just knowing how to do things in your business, so that when you do delegate that to someone else or hire someone else for that, you know what's going on. Because, that's what I see a lot sometimes is people like, oh, I need to find somebody to do my website. I need to find somebody to do my social media. I need to find somebody. And they want to hire out everything. Don't know anything about it. And then this person is, overcharging them, and then they are essentially in a way also holding the reins because you don't know what you don't know. And you didn't do your due diligence and research.
They hijack your website. You can't get in it no more. So like things like that happen because people just throw it off to some people sometimes, and you don't know what's going on. And then when you're like, well, no, what's going on? Ask questions, and you want to take it back. You can't get in. You don't know how. So.
I'm trying to tell you. I mean, we're gonna get back on topic, but I over the years have helped nonprofits that I have worked with building websites and social media and all that type of stuff. And that was one of the issues and mistakes that one of them had made, where they had given it to somebody, unknowingly. And she decided to take over and do what she wanted to do. And this lady was posting stuff on their Facebook page, and they didn't have access to the website. It was like a mess. I literally had to build their website from scratch and restart a whole new Facebook page and just kind of like do things that I had to do to kind of garner and get their ranking back up so that their Facebook group and page ranked over the one that she had hijacked and taken over. But so now I tell people, like when I'm mentoring people when it comes to business, I always say, you start the account for whatever platform you're going to use. And then you use some type of like website locker so that way you can give access to the person that's going to be working on your website or whatever that thing is, your social media, but they don't have the full access with the password and all of that to take your stuff because, like you mentioned, they hijack your stuff and they say, oh, well, that's going to be $5,000. And you're like, wait, what? I thought it was only 2,000 or 1,500. What do you mean? And it's just like it's either that or start from scratch or you out.
Right. Then you got to change your domain. It could be such a headache. So definitely.
Oh, it's too much. Lord have mercy. Okay. With that, I think I'm gonna have us take a little break and we'll be right back. But that's some good stuff right there. Okay. So thank you so much so far for tuning in, everybody. We will be right back in just a flash.
You're listening to an episode of Listen Up Future Nurse Podcast. Scan the QR code if you're watching, or click the link in the podcast show notes to get your virtual remote. Make sure to tune in and subscribe on Spreaker and follow us on all your favorite podcast locations. And watch us live online on all of your favorite social media sites. Do you have ideas about who would be a great guest on this show, or perhaps you have a topic that you want discussed? Let us know. Send me an email at info@nursinginspired.com or text at 773-609-0649.
All right, so we are back. So far, I've been talking with Dr. Odom here with her background starting as a nurse and what led her to become a nurse and being a business owner and a leader and things looking at mentorship. Now, Dr. April, so I keep going back and forth calling you Dr. April and Dr. Odom. I want to talk about positioning for influence. So as a leader in the nursing community, you position yourself as a powerful advocate for nurse practitioners. What advice would you give future nurses looking to position themselves as leaders and influencers in the healthcare community?
Number one, join your state organization. All right, that it has to be a must. And not just join, but you have to be involved. There's one thing than just paying your dues and being a member, but you to be actively involved, it changes everything. Like when I first joined ISAPN, which is the state organization for advanced practice registered nurses, I was a student, and my instructor had showed this video, and I was like, oh, maybe I should join that, just to kind of network with my, my fellow peers or soon to be peers. And I joined, I started going to meetings, and I joined a committee, and just to be immersed in that and see the things that they're doing, because we don't know all the work that they're doing for us. And so, and so now when I look over the history of ISAPN and all the things that I can do today because of the work that the people before me did, like signing disability parking placards, signing, doing sports physicals and school physicals, which is how I got my business started. Like, being 100% reimbursed by Medicaid here in Illinois. Like, those are the things that they did before I was even a nurse practitioner. And so I feel like for me, it's my duty to continue that on. I'm a big pay it forward person. So I have to now lead the next generation. So you have to be involved in your state organization, hands down. So if you're a student, ANA Illinois, for Illinois, and of course, if you're an APRN, ISAPN, hands down, because there's always legislation that's out here. Sometimes it's to hurt nursing. And so we want to make sure that we're knowing what's going on, we're involved, and our voices are being heard. So that's my number one. You have to be involved. You have to be involved because, you have to be involved and you have to know what's going on. Sue Clark will say, either if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. So you want to be at the table because you want to have a say. You want to make sure that, we're fighting for our profession. And I'm a strong advocate of that, and full practice authority for APRNs, because we all need to have it. And so that's number one. You have to be involved.
All right. Wow. And so, and then I know you got some other ones you're going to share, but I just wanted to dive in here. It's like double dutch. I
know, because I can keep going. I'd be like, let me pause.
Yes, yeah, because you got it laid down, and you have definitely been a huge advocate, for having full practice authority for nurse practitioners. And then I just seen you've been involved, for quite some time with ISAPN. Yes, being part of organizations, is key, especially those state organizations. And then, of course, as a student, I wanted to throw out there being a part of National Student Nurses Association, or NSNA, if you can, if your school happens to have a chapter. But if it doesn't, otherwise, there's still state level events and conferences and everything that you can actually attend for the state level one. But getting in those committees, boy, it's either, in some organizations, the funny thing is either you're going to volunteer or you're going to be voluntold.
That's how it happened with me when I got on the board of ISAPN. I went to a meeting, and the region chair at the time, she was like, you should run for this position. I was like, again, somebody seeing something. I was like, I don't know, I don't know. And she's like, no. And she's like, I'm going to help you. And she helped me on. And the first time I ran for CNP rep, I lost. And I was like, okay, I guess it wasn't meant to be. But then the next year, the person who had who won it, or instead of me, they had to step off. And the president at the time called me, was like, hey, you ran for this position. If you're interested, it's, there's an opening. And I'm like, sure, I could have been like, oh no, I don't want it since I lost. But I'm like, sure, I wanted it then, and I really wasn't sure that I wanted it then. But then when they called me, I was like, well, yeah, I want it.
Yeah, you can put all that work in, and
and then from there,
a strategic plan. Shoot, you had it ready.
I know. So from there, it went from, I was the CNP rep for a year, and the next year I was like the vice president at the time. She was like, oh, this is my last term. She's like, are you thinking? I was like, no, I wasn't thinking about it, but I was like, why not? And,
Mm.
after everything, again, being involved and being given the
Mhm.
opportunity to be a leader already, I'm like, okay,
Yes.
I can be vice president. And so I ran for vice president, became vice president for 2 terms. And we a few years ago, we ended the vice president. So I was the last vice president and I was the
Oh,
first president elect. So we
wow. That's
changed our
huge.
bylaws and we just changed how it was structured, and we got rid of the vice president position but made it a
Mm.
president elect position. So I was
Oh,
the
okay.
last vice president and I was the first president elect, and then I
Oh,
was the president elect for a year, and then I'm the first Black president, but the 23rd president of the organization. So
come on, somebody. Yes.
and again, all started as a student, just me, just
Yeah.
being willing to, get out there and be involved and meet people and realize, and it's still taking time. People, don't think that you're going to get involved and you're going to just know it all right away. Like
Yeah.
it's taking me time to realize, okay, because we all sometimes are like, I don't know, I don't think I should be doing this, but you should,
Mm.
because now my motto is, if not you, then who, right? If you
Yeah.
don't do it, who's going to do it? If someone's
Mm.
not hearing your story and seeing how you overcame things and how you made it to where you are, like I said,
Mhm.
I lost the first time. So I could have just easily been like, well, I'm going to leave the organization and I'm not going to,
Mhm.
do nothing else. But why not? Again, it
Right.
was meant to be at that time. And so,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as you say, we're meant to be where we are at that time. And so, maybe after you ran, there were some things that you observed that you knew that you were able to see maybe that you wanted to maybe improve, or maybe a leadership style or something that you hadn't used or thought of before that you were able to pick up. I mean, goodness knows what that time was meant for. Maybe it was more time adding to your business, but we always have to look at, that there's a plan greater than us. I see you got faith on your wall behind you. Let your faith be bigger than your fear. Come on,
yes.
somebody. Yes. So, but there's plans that are made for us that we don't even realize. And so, just because it doesn't happen now doesn't mean that it won't happen never, And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I'm using that, and thinking about that you talked about you with this position and leadership, and look at where you are now as president. But I also want to help the students, and future nurses to realize too. So if that happens with you with your nursing programs that you're applying for, if you're a nurse and you're applying for nurse practitioner programs, if you are going for student leader or nurse leader positions and everything, just because it's not now doesn't mean it won't be never. Okay. And no, that's not grammatically correct, because it should be ever, but I'm just using the N and N word. Y'all work with
Yes.
but I really love that you said that,
Yeah, I know. I had a student. I used to teach CNAs, and I had a student. Actually, she worked on our unit at when I worked at the hospital, and she had started nursing school, didn't finish nursing school. Things, life happens. And then she came back to the program that myself and my friend was teaching. We taught her in our CNA program, and she got back into nursing, and she graduated a few years ago. So, and she was probably in her 50s. So it doesn't have to stop. Like, there's no time. There's no time limit. There's no, that everybody's journey is different. So if you have that passion and you want to do it, and it doesn't happen today, as Fallon said, just not today. It doesn't mean never. It just means it's
right,
not your time right now.
right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Before we go on, did you have any other? Because I know you listed number one, so I want to stop you in your checklist.
You might have to repeat the question for me.
So I was asking you, what advice you had for future nurses looking to position themselves as leaders and influencers in healthcare.
Okay. So definitely your organization. And then, take that chance. Like, we sometimes are, worried about if we move positions. If I was on rehab for 8 years and it was safe. I loved the people I work with, and it was a safe place for me to work because I knew it. I was, a nurse clinician 3. I was, my manager at the time, who's my very best. She's my forever mentor, I call her. She taught me so much about being a leader. And again, I didn't see it then. Like, she was having me run meetings and do schedules and like all this stuff that I'm just like, I'm just here to work, but it was so much more than that. And I see that now. So just making sure you try different things, you put yourself out there. I remember when I left rehab, I thought I had always wanted to work in the emergency room. And I went to the emergency room and I was like, this is not my place. I say everybody has their own niche. And, I did fine there, but it was not for me. And that's okay. Like the only way you're going to know is to try things. You have to try things. You have to, be willing to take a chance, stepping outside of your comfort zone. That's been another motto of mine, being comfortable with being uncomfortable, because there are going to be a lot of times where you're going to be having to do something different, something new, because we don't have all the answers, and that's okay. But you have to know your resources. So you definitely have to know your resources. So definitely, trying new things. Don't be afraid to try something new, because that's going to be big as well. Wow. And then making sure that you realize that you're a leader. If you're in healthcare and you're a nurse, you're going to be a nurse, you're already leading, because, this is a calling. This is something that we do because we love taking care of the people, our communities. There's and we're lifelong learners, so you're never going to stop learning. Never. So you have to realize that you're already leading, and you just have to really step into that and own that, and just continue to go. And then the last thing is paying it forward. You have to pay it forward. You have to bring somebody along with you. You have to motivate somebody. You have to help somebody. You definitely have to pay it forward. That's definitely a must.
Wow. Those are truly, 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 where is it at? What I call pills of wisdom, y'all. She dropped 5 of them. Okay, so that you done had not 1 dose, not 2, but 5. So hold on to those pills of wisdom, and really make sure that you allow them to do their work within you and within your journey. For this calling, because that's really what it is. It's really truly a calling. Okay. So now I would like to go on to rising above challenges. So you created, you've been breaking barriers in healthcare, and that's really no small feat with everything that you've been doing. Can you share a pivotal moment where you faced the challenge and how you navigated, to rise to where you are today?
Let's see. So there has been, I had to echo. There has been lots of challenges that I can probably think of, but one, I would say being a leader in healthcare doesn't always come easy, because it's not an easy task to do. So sometimes you have to, defend yourself or advocate for yourself, along with advocating for your patients, for things that they may need. And so there's not one specific challenge, but I would say, just as an advocate for patients and nurse practitioners, I definitely would say we all have to support each other and advocate for each other. And I guess the biggest challenge I think about is when I first opened my business, I had a physician who was my collaborator at the time, who was the one who was like, oh, open the business, I'll be your collaborator, I won't charge you. And after a month, she was like, oh, I'm going to charge you X amount, because she could. And I didn't have full practice authority at the time. And so then from that moment on, it was my mission to, one, get full practice authority. And because it's kind of like you doing this because you just know you can. And, what am I going to do? Because without you, without having that collaborative agreement, I wouldn't be able to practice in my business. And so that was a big thing. Luckily, I had another colleague. So again, this is why you create your circles, who was a physician who was like, oh yeah, girl, I got you. I'm going to be your collaborator. And she, we trained together. We did so many things together. And, but as soon as I was eligible for full practice authority, I got it, because I didn't want anybody having that, that over you, because it's kind of like, well, you can't do this without me. And I'm like, well, now I can. And so that's why I tell everybody, you have to have all APRNs who are eligible for full practice authority should have it. There should be no doubt. If you're working in a facility, it doesn't matter. That if they require you to still have a collaborative agreement, that's fine. You still need full practice authority, because you can lose your job tomorrow. Don't think because you're a nurse, you're safe, that nothing can happen to you. And if you do, and you don't have that to fall back on, because now some places are looking for people who have full practice authority, like in their job descriptions. And so it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Because, and the licenses sometimes are taking like 3 months. And so you don't want to be in that position where you need to have it and then you don't have it. So definitely being able to, advocate and stand up for yourself in, times of challenges.
Wow, that is so good. And you thought you ain't have no story. That's a good story right there, Lord. Woo! That is terrible. Oh my God. And enlightening at the same time, because sometimes it takes those things that kind of add fuel to our fire. Sometimes I always like to use the analogy and I guess the story or adage of saying, like, it takes fire to a coal to make a diamond, essentially. You need that fire and that pressure together, and what you thought you had turned out to be even greater in the end. And so, for those of you, who are listening, so full practice FPA or full practice authority and everything is something that is different in different states. I can let Dr. April, you can talk about this more specifically, but it's actually a hashtag goal of mine still. I know. I've been talking here.
I got it. We gonna have to talk. We gonna have to talk.
I know. But it's something that as a nurse practitioner that you would be able to utilize for what you're doing in healthcare. So I'll let you kind of explain that to the folks that are not nurses or future nurses and all that, so they can know.
Yeah, so full practice authority is AANP, which is American Association of Nurse Practitioners. They, again, are over all the states. But in Illinois here, we have ours is different than, like, say, Indiana. So each state has a difference, as Fallon said. But full practice authority means here in Illinois that you can practice without a collaborative agreement. So if you are a new APRN, and an APRN is an advanced practice registered nurse, which it can be a certified nurse midwife, a clinical nurse specialist, a CRNA, or a certified nurse practitioner. And a CRNA is a certified registered nurse anesthetist, and then a certified nurse practitioner. So if you're one of those 4 specialty areas, not CRNAs, they actually are working on their full practice, hopefully this year. But if you are a certified nurse midwife, a clinical nurse specialist, or a certified nurse practitioner, and you're in Illinois, when you first graduate, you have to have a collaborative physician in order to practice and have delegation for prescriptive authority. So if you don't have a physician that you're working with as your collaborative, you can't practice. And so usually if you're working in a hospital system, they're going to assign you someone that you are with. So once you've had 4,000 hours and 250 continuing education, you can apply for full practice authority in the state of Illinois. So your license does show us like a different license type. So there's the 2 licenses. And so once you apply for that full practice authority and are granted that license, you no longer need a collaborating physician in Illinois. There are some stipulations because, as I said, A and P, some states have complete full practice where when you graduate, you can do everything on your own. But here in Illinois, we don't. And we still have some barriers. And so this is why being in your organization is important, because we are still fighting for things. We're still trying to get to that full practice without any restrictions. Our restrictions are, if you write for Schedule II opioids, you still need a consulting physician. So not collaborator, but consulting. However, you have to have someone. So in my practice, I don't write for Schedule II opioids, but if I did, I would have to have a physician. I would likely have to pay a physician to be my consulting physician to write those prescriptions for my patients. And unfortunately, that's a barrier to patient care, right? Because now I have to have this in order to treat my patients. And if you write for more than 120 days of benzodiazepines, you also still need that consulting physician. So those are our barriers that we still have. But, instance, midwives have full practice authority because they don't write for Schedule II opioids. They don't write for benzodiazepines. And so they're practicing to the full extent of their license here in Illinois. And so I say that about myself usually. I'm like, I don't write for more than 120 days of benzos, and I don't write for Schedule II opioids. So I'm practicing to the full extent as much as possible of my license. It would only be my barrier if I had a patient that truly needed a Schedule II opioid, and now I have to refer them out. So that's the problem. And so that's why we need people to keep joining us, to keep fighting, so we can hopefully remove that eventually.
Wow, that's good. See, this is the person that needed to explain that best, because I was going to cry. But look, this is the expert, okay? Because she has been, yes, definitely, and informing and advocating for FPA for many years,
Okay, so
and so
we're gonna get you, girl. We're gonna get you together.
it's still on the list. Oh my goodness. Woo! And so actually with that, the last question I had for you was, because we're rounding out on time, leading with confidence. So you created a really strong platform for empowering nurse practitioners. What would you say are some key takeaways for future nurse leaders that they could embrace to lead with confidence and influence in their own careers?
Oh, I would definitely say you are the expert, and your story is your story, just like my story is my story. Nobody can ever take that away from you. Sometimes, they have said before that, nurses eat their young, or nurses are always competing with each other. That's not true everywhere. And that's what I've been on a mission to dispel. Like, there's a lot of us out here supporting each other. We're not eating our youngs. We're not wanting people to fail. We are out here supporting each other. We are out here wanting to see. We are out here clapping for our sisters who are doing better than us. And that's okay, because we're not all going to be on the same level. And so you have to first realize that your story is your story. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can take my history from me. Everything that I've done and been through is what I've done and been through. And you may have people where you're on similar paths, or you're doing similar things, but that's okay, because you can still learn from them, and they can still learn from you. Absolutely. And you can still collaborate and network. The one of the biggest thing is why I really want to make this, APRNs and nurse practitioners cohesive. Like, we want to support each other because other disciplines are doing it. And so why can't we? Like, we have to support each other. So anytime I'm referring to someone, I'm looking for a nurse practitioner or an APRN to refer to. Yeah. I'm looking for those people, my colleagues among us, who are in specialties, because, nurse practitioners are in specialty areas. They're in neuro and derm and all these places. So if I'm going to refer to somebody, I'm going to refer to somebody I know and I trust. And so the more APRNs I know and trust, the more I can refer people to them. So definitely knowing that your story is your story, and being willing to work together, because we need to elevate each other, because our profession deserves it, for sure.
Yes. And actually, I said I didn't have no more questions, but one more with that, since you mentioned referring to other nurse practitioners. Do you have any type of like referral type programs or anything like that with like other nurse practitioner businesses, or or like clinics or anything like that? Do you have like referral or type programs, anything like that?
So for my clinic, I use just people I know, and like within my network, I will refer out. If somebody like I refer somebody to an MP in Tinley who was looking for something that I didn't do. She texted me and she was like, "Do you do this?" And I'm like, "No, but I know somebody who does." Okay. And just because if you don't know it, and then that's why, if you don't build your network, if you don't build your resources, you won't have anybody to refer to. So I sent her to there to say, "Hey, I know somebody who does it, and you can go and see this person over here." And for ISAPN, what I've been working on, and we have a private business owner group, so it's for members only. We've started to create a referral network of not just APRN businesses, but also marketing companies and accountants and things that business owner may need, because again, we want to share resources within each other.
Well, I'm gonna have to join. There you go. Woo! I may have to look. I'm gonna be guilty. I might be a dues paying member for now, and as time permits, I'll look at joining some committees. But that sounds definitely very beneficial and helpful, because I love sharing resources, but also just learning more about them and everything as well.
Yeah, and that's what I had to do too. I had to make sure that sometimes people were leaning on me for information. I'm like, sure, I'm going to tell you, but you got to be a member. Because if I'm in this organization as a leader and I'm telling you how important it is, this is how important it is to me, that I think everybody should be a member. So I'm very more fruitful. Like, when people call me and they have questions, if one of the first thing I look, are you a member of ISAPN? And then I may
Mm.
elaborate more. And then there's
Yeah.
some people that call me and they try, they have to pay for my time, but
Yeah.
it's just, because the organization is important to me and I definitely believe in the work that we're doing. And so, I have to, show that in all aspects.
You are it. I mean, you are the poster woman, shall I say, Women's History Month too, for ISAPN. All right, so I have asked you a whole bunch of stuff. Now it's time to flip the microphone. What question do you have for me?
Well, now that you've told me, I'm going to have to ask you, Fallon. When you need to give me a date on when you're going to have your full practice authority.
Now that's hard. I thought you was going to ask me when I was going to join membership for ISAPN.
Maybe that should be my two questions, double prong question. But no, that's going to be my question to you. I'm going to ask you to set a deadline.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me see. Okay. Can I say, okay, I'll say by the end of the year. I'm going to say by my birthday. Okay. How about that?
When's your birthday?
Okay. Yep, December 18th. Yep.
Okay.
By the end of the year.
I'm a December baby too, so I'm going to hold you to that. We're going to be celebrating in December.
All right. What's your birthday?
On the 30th.
Okay, all right. You're a Capricorn at the end. All right, then. Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking on the host chair for just a second. We'll flip the microphone. Now I want to just give an opportunity for you to share announcements, anything, any special offers that you have and everything with the audience.
Well, so again, joining ISAPN is going to be number one. And then also, I know we didn't talk about it much, but Illinois Nurse Practitioner Network is the nonprofit that we created. It's not a membership organization. And what we do is we celebrate NP Week every year. This will be the third year in a row. And we literally celebrate NP Week for a whole week. We usually have eight events over that 7 days from Sunday through Saturday, because again, and when I was working by myself, I just felt like, I needed somebody. I needed this community. And so I was like, this is a community I need of other nurse practitioners who are like me, who are, with me, who I can refer out to and share with and collaborate with and talk to and vent to. And so we do that, for a week. So November 9th through the 15th this year, we will be doing Nurse Practitioner Week. We are moving around a little bit. Last year we were more in the south suburbs, but we're going to go. Our conference is going to be in Warrenville this year, and we're going to have some more events. And we're tapping on. We always have a nurse practitioner business owner networking night where we have conversation and cocktails and things. So that'll be happening on Monday. So look out. So INPN Illinois Nurse Practitioner Network.org is our website. And then the last thing is next month on April 12th, I'm doing an exclusive event that is for nurse practitioners, because I wouldn't tell you the number of times where I call people, because I often say, hey, I need you to come speak. Like, with Fallon, when I need a speaker, I need you to come speak. And not Fallon, but some people will send you a headshot. And I'm a selfie as a headshot. And I'm like, well, that's not. And again, if we're talking about being leaders, and really stepping and owning into our confidence, when someone asks you for your assets, like a headshot or a one-page bio, or make sure your bio is 300 words and you don't have this stuff available, then you're not ready. So one of the biggest things that we're going to do in the event is called Accelerate, Position, Rise, Influence, and Lead. And it's a nurse practitioner only experience with limited seatings. And if you do not have your headshot, we're going to be doing headshots. We're going to do a workshop where you're going to leave with your one-page bio on your computer. And all you have to do is plug your headshot in there when you get it. You're going to have a speaker sheet we're going to create. We're going to talk about positioning yourself for leadership opportunities. I've asked people before, I want to nominate you for an award. Send me your write-up. And they have nothing. And so, you have to have these things ready, because if somebody wants to nominate you, most times they don't have time to be trying to gather all of they need you to give them something sometimes. Yeah. And so you want to make sure you have these things ready if you're going to be in a position to be awarded for awards and be in leadership positions and be nominated and run for boards and things like that. So we're going to get you ready. So when you leave, you're going to have those things in hand, and you'll get your headshot to put in there, and you'll have it so you can use it. for your assets. So as you continue to accelerate and position yourself as a leader, as a thought leader and the expert in your field, you're going to be ready. And so we're going to make sure that it's going to be on the 44th floor of the Willis Tower. So we're going to have some amazing views, and it's going to be such a good time. Again, it's limited seating because I like to keep some things intimate, because I really want to make sure we have this impact where we all are leaving, and we're also networking with each other too. So there's general admission tickets and VIP admission tickets available. And you can find that on my website, aprilgodom.com. That's probably another thing I should get. Everybody should have a website with their name, because your name is yours. Nobody gonna take that away. And so you can find that on my site, but it's going to be an amazing time. And if you are a nurse practitioner and you're ready to, step up your leadership game and be ready for these awards and these speaking that you deserve, you need to be here.
Absolutely, because if not, then who, right? And that needs to be you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know I definitely look forward to being in the place. And so I really appreciate you, being here today, everything that you are doing for nurse practitioners, for your fellow nurses, and just your community, and all the things, because y'all just don't know. I mean, when y'all come to her events, I mean, just wow, that's all I can really say. The photo booths, all the thing, the whole family is involved, I'm telling you. But just wonderful what you're doing for communities and just healthcare and all the things that you're doing. So I really truly appreciate all of your leadership and everything that you're doing, and I really appreciate you being here today. Any last closing words or thoughts that you want to share with future nurses out there that's listening today?
So yes, absolutely. Do not stop. Keep going. It is totally worth it. I promise you, there's a light at the end of that tunnel. And it's very bright, and I hope to see you on the other side.
Woo! I love it. All right. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much, Alan.
All right. Till next time, y'all.
Bye.
Okay. All right. See y'all. All right.
All right, it's a wrap. Make sure to watch us live, listen to your favorite podcast locations, leave us a review, or if you'd like to reach out to support this podcast, reach out to me as a speaker, or sign up for coaching, please use your virtual remote. You can give us a review on your favorite place to listen or watch this podcast, such as Google, Yelp, or Trustpilot, and you can reach those from the virtual remote as well by scanning the QR code on the screen or by visiting bit.ly/FutureNursePodcast. Love what we're doing and want to create live streams like this? You can access the sign-up referral link in the show notes for StreamYard. If you'd like to be organized like the virtual remote, consider making one for your next event or as a link in bio with Societap. Please support this Black female-owned company and get yours today. All right, it's a wrap. Make sure to watch us live,